Hi everybody, it's Alex Newton from K-lytics, today with our Kindle market trends for June 2022. So let's have a look. Every month we look at the sales performance of hundreds of thousands of books across the Kindle bestseller lists to provide you with trends and developments in the market and give you the latest market intelligence for your book projects. We're compiling the performance information for more than 8,000 Kindle categories, and today I'd like to give you some highlights, also based on the longer term trends that we've been observing. Let's start with some really good news. Yes, it's official. Finally, after 2.5 years, sales ranks are back to normal. What makes me say this? The very graph in front of us that epitomizes, for me, the pandemic in the last 2.5 years. The red line is the category Travel, Europe, Italy, Florence that took a dive right here in March, April 2020. While this other health and fitness category about physical ailments, namely respiratory ailments, shot from oblivion all the way up into the top ranks of the Amazon Kindle store. And then you see it took more than 2.5 years for the blue line to sink back down to where it belongs and the red line to climb back up to what we had before the pandemic. And yes, like you, I cannot wait to get back to Italy. Moving back into present time, the top Kindle bestseller list as of June 2022 are literature and fiction, followed by romance, then mystery, thriller, suspense, then science fiction and fantasy, followed by non-fiction on aggregate, and then teen and young adult. By the way, there is no need to take notes if you'd like to download your free copy of the league table of the 30 main categories. Get your free copy at k-lytics.com/free report. Or if you're already a member, you just can download it in the basic member area. In the fiction market, let's look at the number one market, romance. The top 100 sales rank performance has been extremely strong over the last 18 months. And just to illustrate how positive the development was, let's take this orange rectangle and plot these 18 months in the context of a 7-year period, where you see that orange rectangle is now all the way here to the right-hand side of the graph, showing you that the romance bestseller list currently operates at a completely new echelon and a level that is now as high as it's never been before throughout the last 7 years. In our recently published Clean Romance report, we've compared the Amazon Kindle erotica categories versus the clean and wholesome category on Amazon. And we noticed how the blue line, literature and fiction erotica, after years of decline has, especially during the pandemic, caught up with the hugely successful clean and wholesome romance category on Kindle. I find this development very interesting because I haven't heard about any ease of the restrictions on advertising steamier novels. I still hear many authors having difficulties with getting ads approved. If it is not the advertising, what could it be? My personal hypothesis looking at this very bestseller list is that we finally, after many years of junk book uploads into the category, we finally see, to my mind, professional book covers compared to the Microsoft Paint type of covers that we saw more often than not in the earlier years. If you have different hypotheses about what's going on, please let me know in the comments. Moving on to mystery, thriller, suspense, here we saw sales ranks on a decline ever since a peak in September 2021. Now in the first and second quarter 2022, sales are stabilizing again, if not even trending slightly back up. During the same time of the decline, we also saw a rise in prices. And if we overlay these prices with the sales ranks we just saw earlier, then we see now the black line are the sales ranks, and you see declining sales ranks almost throughout the time when prices have been on the rise, and only recently, when prices during the first and second quarters started to come down again, we saw this stabilization of the sales ranks. While at this earlier time here, we see that we had a huge drop in prices from one month to the other, and all of a sudden sales ranks went up again. So perhaps after all, there is some consumer sensitivity to pricing of books. From a trend perspective, military thrillers have shown the highest sales rank improvement amongst the more than 100 mystery, thriller, suspense categories. In fact, 145% sales rank improvement over the last 12 months. And this is in line with trends we've reported earlier around terrorism thrillers and also political thrillers that I talked about in our last update. Sci-fi and fantasy sales rank performance has been pretty stable now. A slight decline here during the first half year 2022, but I see this more as a stabilization after a very strong performance during the second half of 2021. Here, the most notable increase in sales was in the fantasy TV movie video game adaptation category, with a sales rank improvement of almost 400%. The category is very broad in terms of the books in it, ranging from the Dunes of the world to a lot of literature role-playing game, which I think has been one of the main drivers of all this. And, any big blockbuster, now we have Jurassic Park getting back into the movie theaters, and you can immediately see it that these books are back in the bestseller list, anything that have to do with, movie, TV adaptations and so on. It's always an interesting category to monitor from a trend-setting point of view. And from a performance point of view, you see it's sky high here in the hot niche area of our K-lytics strategy map, with a sales rank of 519 on average across the top 20 titles, while the category size is less than 5,000, which, given we have more than 8 million English-speaking titles on the Kindle platform, is very much a niche type of category. Unfortunately, teen and young adult literature, let's take a closer look. The sales ranks have been on a decline over the last 18 months almost. Now, some categories have been trending up, others have been trending down. The most notable downward development, by the way, that we've observed, and here we have the 7-year graph, not just the last 18 months, is teen, young adult, romance, science fiction, and dystopian. And I think the main reason is that if you look at this graph here, and specifically the starting time here in 2012, I think the industry has not found any real successor for neither for Hunger Games nor Divergent, Maze Runner, you name them. Ever since 2016, there has been nothing comparable. And that to me is probably the main driver why we have this declining development. By the way, we have a similar negative development in non-fiction here in blue versus fiction in red. But the good news is really in the overall market outlook. And if we take the global Kindle Select Fund, the size of which you see here over the years, we took the numbers that are already in for the year 2022 all the way up to April and basically extrapolated them based on the experience of the years before to come up with this new estimate for the projection 2022. And here we are expecting to break the $500 million mark by the end of the year, with another year of very healthy double-digit growth for the Kindle ebook market. All right, so much for today. If you'd like to have the full set of data, I invite you to join our K-lytics memberships to get access to the full database and all the genre reports that we have. If you're not a member yet, check out k-lytics.com at k-lytics.com. With this, I hope you're having a great summer. This is Alex Newton from K-lytics, ebook market intelligence for success.